Hello everyone, welcome to part 3 of our localization tutorial series. In this part we're going to go ahead and start the resource helper, but before we do, I want to go ahead and talk to you about the resource manager. The resource manager uses a class called culture info, which I've gone ahead and pulled up the specs and stuff like that of the actual culture info class. And this is really right here the reason why it uses it. So it provides information about a specific culture, and I do mean specific, like it is ES-MX, which is Spanish of Mexico, as opposed to ES-ES, Spanish of Spain. So it is very specific in the culture that it actually references, and sometimes it's not, but even still. And this information includes the names of the culture, the writing system, the calendar used, the sort order of strings, and a formatting of dates and numbers. So when you have a number or you have a date that you want to display, it would be customary to actually, or culturally appropriate, however you want to actually say it, to display the date in the format that the culture uses. So where in the United States we would say 12-6-2017, somewhere else might say 6-12-2017. So instead of thinking that it's June 12th for us, it's actually the 6th of December for them, because that's how they read it, day, month, then year, as opposed to month, day, year. So it would be appropriate to go ahead in that instance to format the dates and even numbers the way that they actually do it. The sort order of strings in the calendar used, I wouldn't focus on them too much because I don't know much about them. It's not really going to affect much, but if it does it automatically, why not, right? The writing system, I'm pretty sure this references whether it's read from left to right or right to left. For instance, in the United States, in English, we read left to right, but Hebrew is read right to left. There's other languages too, I just can't think of them off the top of my head. But then you also have information about the names of culture, which is actually pretty important in this topic, because if you have 4 flags that are being displayed on the startup screen. One's an English flag, a French flag, a Spanish flag, and then a Italian flag. Instead of it reading English, French, Spanish, Italian, well, someone in Spanish, they might be able to read Spanish and English, but natively it's pronounced Español, or, read Español. In French, I think it's Francés, or Francias, or something like that. And in Italian, I'm pretty sure it's Italiano. But it would be appropriate to have the native name shown for the specific type as opposed to non-native types. And it just makes sense to display the native name, not the English name for the native name. So with that being said, we're going to use the culture info. If you don't want to, feel free not to. With that being said, let's go ahead and open up the resource helper. I've already went ahead and formatted it. It's a static class within the namespace GrayMatter.utilities. Most of my utility classes will be static classes for future reference, but I went ahead and created a method beforehand that I'm going to go ahead and paste in here, and the rest of the video is going to be spent talking about it because it's very important. The reason being, let me go ahead and just paste it in there, and I'll scroll through as I'm talking about it so you can copy everything down. The reason being is that Android doesn't allow you to do current or thread.current culture. It doesn't reference a current culture. It actually returns something called invariant culture, which is just a very, very general default culture info class, or yeah, I guess technically the instance of culture info, just the default one. And we don't want that. So what does work inside of Android is application.systemLanguage, which is a Unity engine property of the application class. I'm pretty sure. We'll see it later. But either way, it returns a system language. So we're actually going to pass that system language in here. And system language is actually an enum within Unity engine. That can actually be read a lot easier than the culture info, because culture info, you refer to it like this, which you could create somewhat of an enum using that by listing out like static read-only culture info references that are named, you know, Africans or whatever it actually is, Arabic, Basque. You can have them listed off like that, so it would be kind of like an enum, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to do it this way, because we can pass in a system language and then it would return the very specific culture info related to that. So this is what I've decided to do. Likewise, the only culture info I showed is what system languages are actually available. So if it doesn't return something, oh, I said I was going to be scrolling the whole time. I'll scroll very slow. Pause the video if you must. But when we get down to the bottom, I kind of want to explain how we're going to handle default situations. And there's also a system language.unknown. I don't know when that instance will pop up, but if it does, I have a way of handling it. Okay, that's it. So the way I handle it is passing it the culture info.invariant culture. Makes sense to me because it's the default culture info and this is the default system language. That's just kind of how we're going to handle it. But let's go ahead and create a static reference, which is going to be private static. Nope. Yeah, it's going to be private static read only, and we're going to call it system culture. This is going to be of type culture info. System culture, and that's going to be equal to get culture application dot system language. Okay, so this is going to be our default culture, and it's going to be loaded up once the app starts. It's going to load up this system culture as the application.system language. So if you're using an Android device that says, or that the primary language is English, it's going to load up English and return the culture info for English of the United States. I went ahead and defined the defaults. There's English of different countries, a lot of different countries, but I went ahead and did US. Maybe somewhat biased because I live in the US, but that's what I decided to do. So I provided the default specific culture that we're going to be using. It's not going to agree with every area, so you might want to either limit the culture infos like I did, or allow every culture info. But that might be a lot of translations and might be a little, you know, too crazy of a task to embark on. But that's what we're going to go ahead and do with this video. I will go ahead and see you in the next video when we go ahead and continue the rest of this. I just wanted to show you how we were going to handle the culture info aspect of it in this video.